All right. Dear ocean stewards, welcome to Blair, Nebraska. Also a very special welcome to Governor Ricketts, going to be here in a little bit, so he will show up here in about a half hour, but also Christian Coleman, Feike Sabizma, Casper Gamelin, Christoph Gopelschrauder, Kareem Kermali, Frank Beisman, all the board members and management from both DSM and Evonik. And last but not least, DSM, my Veramaris colleagues, and all special guests today. So we are really excited to have you here for the Veramaris grand opening ceremony as we mark the beginning here of our industrial scale production of natural marine algal oil. So today marks a great day for Veramaris and for the world's oceans, right? For some of you already know this, but after years of research and almost 2 years of construction, we now have the ability to produce enough EPA and DHA equivalent to that derived from 1.2 million tons of wild-caught fish each year. This marks a huge step in conserving the biodiversity of our oceans, and myself and all the team here is very happy and proud to have you with us today. We're also very thankful that you have taken the time to come celebrate this milestone with us, and we hope you enjoy the day. I mean, look at the place and the decorations. Great job by everyone. So really hope you enjoy the day. Nice weather out, and I think it's going to be very enjoyable. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. Like I said, first of all was supposed to be Governor Ricketts. He'll be here in about a half hour. We'll fit him in the schedule then. But then first up is Feike. Actually, sorry, for the first agenda items, actually the video now. So for the video, we'd like to show you the construction video that we have put together here, which goes through the project from the initial groundbreaking to completion. So I think it's really impressive, and so please sit back and enjoy. Approximately 280. So excavation started in 2017. We started the pilings. So the piles are connected to the concrete foundations. In total, more than 400 trucks filled with concrete were delivered to the site. The construction team made strong efforts to complete the piling and concrete foundations before the winter arrived. As you can see here, the construction crews faced some of the harshest winter weather, with temperatures of -15 degree F or -25 C, in addition to strong winds. In no time, large tanks, shown here, were started to be constructed on the site one ring at a time. Soon, vessels and other equipment started to arrive at Blair. The construction of the steel structure and the erected tanks were finished during the spring and summer of 2018. The whole team was very impressed by the efforts of the construction crews. Everybody demonstrated a can-do attitude and a very strong work ethic, which is often seen here in the Midwest. In June of last year, the project team celebrated the roof raising with management from both companies and the Lieutenant Governor, Steve Foley. So when you think about the start of the process and where we are today, it is really remarkable. What started out as lab tests and beakers has now resulted into a large-scale manufacturing plant. For the project, approximately 250 pieces of equipment have been installed, including roughly 40 new vessels and 60 new pumps. New chillers were installed and large sections of pipe were added to give additional cooling capacity for the new process. In the video, you'll see welders welding the new piping in place. I always thought it was remarkable to see them manipulate and weld the large piping while always keeping safety in mind. For the project, approximately 26,000 linear feet of piping was installed. Because the process is highly automated, there was extensive electrical, instrumentation, and programming work done. Over 2,700 instruments total were implemented between the fermentation and downstream building. And over 500,000 feet of cable was pulled and used to power up and connect all the equipment and instruments. As we go through the road building and the cladding of the building, some other interesting facts from the construction are: over 4,000 cubic meters of concrete was poured. Approximately 1,000 tons of steel was used in the project. And the equipment was sourced from US, Germany, Italy, India, and China. Construction finished on March 31st, and the team immediately began the startup phase. Equipment was checked out, programming was tested, and water testing was completed on the entire process. Once that phase was complete, chemicals and steam were introduced to the equipment and sterility trials began. The first successful fermentation was completed and the first algal oil extracted. You see here in the loadout building, which we'll do the ribbon cutting later, the first container of algal oil from the Blair site was packaged. And so this brings us to today, where we celebrate the grand opening of the Blair facility. An important note to the team, or an important item to note, is that the team is very proud of its safety record. Not only did the project finish ahead of schedule and below budget, but to date there have been over 700,000 man-hours worked on the project, with no lost time incidents and only one recordable OSHA injury. This is a record that everyone can be proud of. And so at this time, on behalf of Veramaris, I'd like to thank Norbert Steyer, which I don't know, maybe Norbert's still to join here. Okay. Norbert Steyer, the project director, Jochen Liebert. Jochen? Yeah. Project process responsible. And then Hans-Joachim Schlief, project manager, for the great job that they have done on this project. I'd also like to thank Paul Caldwell, site manager Nicole Ruddingen, which is the previous site manager, all the construction workers, the project team, all the Blair team back there, the startup team, in addition, all folks from dsm-firmenich and Veramaris that have gotten us to this point today. It is, I think you'll admit, it's truly been a team effort. Also, I look forward to working further with Paul and the Vonic site Blair to build on this momentum, move into the production phase of the project, and turn on the tap, as Kareem likes to mention, so that we can supply oil to Kareem, Frank, and the Veramaris sales and marketing team. All right. With that, then, I will move to our first guest speaker, which is Mr. Feike Sijbesma, who is the current CEO and chairman of the managing board of DSM. Mr. Sijbesma is very interested in the environment and sustainability and is the designated global climate leader for the World Bank Group. He has won numerous honors, but I think one of the top here was recently when he was named as one of the world's 50 greatest leaders by Fortune 500 magazine. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce Feike.
Thank you. It's not a normal opening, it's the grand opening of Veramaris. So, the advice is of every introduction to a speech, don't diminish yourself in the beginning of your speech. So, in front of me, I have the big book of the history and future of mankind. Don't start small. And what are we doing here? Here in Blair, Nebraska, United States, a German, a Dutch company, together with you folks in the US, are writing history. It's a pity Governor Ricketts is not yet here, because I would love to have spoken those words in his presence, but I'm sure you will transfer my message to him, and we are honored to be here together as Evonik and DSM in Blair, Nebraska, celebrating this grand opening, celebrating indeed that today, with all modesty, we are writing we are writing a new chapter in the book of history and future of mankind. We all know that the oceans play a crucial part of our life. Literally, the Earth's life support. 50 to 70% of all oxygen of the world is coming from the oceans, even more than from our rainforest. It absorbs our carbon. The heating of the world would have been much more intense, much more, if we would have no oceans. And it holds 97% of all the water on this planet. So to treat the oceans with care is one of the responsibilities we as mankind have. Do we do that? Not totally. Of course, we use the oceans also as a source of our own food. Fishing, getting the fish out of the ocean to feed ourselves. And of course, that is a very noble goal, to feed ourselves, but we do that in a way that massively exceeds the planet boundaries. And we all know we will not be able to continue with that. Already today, 90% of all the big fish are gone. It happened in the last 50 years. We are polluting the oceans massively with plastic. We're heating up the ocean step by step, involving and infringing the total food fish supply chain in the ocean. Already 400 ocean dead zones are being identified at this very moment into the oceans. Coral reefs and all kinds of other things which are wiping out. We need to keep the ocean as it is. But we need to feed 7 billion, later on 9 billion people as well. And we cannot all eat meat. We need to have a balanced diet, which includes also fish, which is good for our health. So aquaculture, I think, is the future of this, to feed 7, later on 9 billion people in the world in a sustainable way that our children can continue with that, their children, as long as they will continue to write also their chapters in the big book of the history and future of mankind. But the way we do aquaculture and the way we treat our fish farms is also not totally sustainable, as all of you know. And therefore, we need to take care that the fish feed, the fish oil, becomes also sustainable, and that we don't empty the oceans by the feed of the aquaculture. And that is what you guys, that is what we guys from Evonik, from DSM, here with our US friends are doing. Writing that history that we can make aquaculture really sustainable. Like you said in the introduction, with the right omega profile, EPA, DHA, that we can provide to the big fish the right health benefits, which is so important for mankind, for our heart, for our blood vessels, for our brain development. That we can continue with aqua fish farming for a long time whilst leaving the ocean where it is. Addressing our own food, feeding mankind in a sustainable way. I'm so proud what you have accomplished here. That it's not always happening in our companies, maybe in Evonik it is, maybe not in DSM, that we are within time limits, within budget, achieving that with such a safety record, this investment. So really appreciate it, and you can all be very proud who were involved in that, that we did it in such an excellent way. My deep compliments to all of you involved in the construction, the development of the technology, the yield improvement. And let me say a word there, the yield improvement so far, because I expect much more to come into the future. But also the pre-marketing and being there with customers who are already massively interested in this. This is a type of business, I think, which fits so much with Evonik, which fits so much with DSM. When I retire or die, in that order, I hope, I will have a discussion with my children, what did I do with my life as a CEO of a big company or whatever. I hope I will not only discuss the EBITDA, the youngest is studying medical biology, has no clue what EBITDA is, the oldest studies economics, I hope he knows by now what it is. But they will want to look, what else did you do? Doing well, doing good at the same moment. Making money, running a successful company whilst contributing to a better world. And that is what all of you are involved in. All your efforts of all of you, whether you're from the government supporting us, from this neighborhood, from Veramaris, from Evonik, from DSM, from our site here in Blair, you are contributing on running a company, making business successful, and contributing to a better world. We as DSM, and I think it counts the same for me, Evonik, use the UN Sustainable Development Goals as a source of inspiration of our innovations, to make the world a better place and to make money with doing that. And climate change and hunger and feeding the world are not only big problems, they are sources of inspiration of our innovations. And that is what we did here, with two companies, a German, a Dutch companies with a headquarter in Essen, major capital in Germany, and Heerlen, even more well-known city in the Netherlands. And this Heerlen and Essen city found each other. 1.5 hour driving distance. And Christian and I met even 2 weeks ago again in Essen. And had dinner and discussed again our relationship. The relationship that you built, not only the two of us as CEOs, but what you all built in the teams. So essential to make a collaboration between two companies happen in a country far away from those headquarters, Essen and Heerlen, here in Blair, in Nebraska. I'm so proud on the people of Veramaris, Karim, you and your whole team, what you have accomplished so far, what you have accomplished to make a start to write, together with all of you here, a new chapter in the big book of history and future of mankind. Thank you very much for this achievement. Thank you very much for all your efforts now and our joint success towards your future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Feike. Thank you for your leadership and also your support of really doing something meaningful. So, appreciate it. All right, so our next guest speaker is Christian Coleman. Mr. Coleman has been chairman of the executive board and CEO of Evonik Industries since 2017. He has a master's degree in economic history and has quickly moved up the ranks within Evonik. With that, I am pleased to introduce Mr. Christian Coleman.
Good morning. Honorable Governor Ricketts, Feike, Chris Goppelsröder, colleagues of the extended board of directors of Evonik, esteemed customers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you, and it's a great pleasure for me having the chance here to celebrate the inauguration ceremony of Veramaris with you together. I've been following very closely the progress which Veramaris made over the past years. Veramaris is unique. It is outstanding. Having the ambition to change the face of an entire industry with just one breakthrough innovation is not true for many endeavors. It is, yes, it is truly something special. And together, Evonik and DSM, the Dutch and the Germans, have created something we have to be together proud of. Let me rephrase it in the words of our partner, of DSM. We are doing something meaningful. Ladies and gentlemen, that is also on the behalf of the entire Evonik staff very true. And I would say I could not agree more. Everyone I have told about the child Veramaris we are raising and nourishing together with DSM reacted in the very same way. From the first second, they were emotionally invested, saying, yes, we love to hear the story. The purpose behind Veramaris is what makes Veramaris so strong. Veramaris feels a responsibility and an obligation to help conserve marine life and to contribute to healthy nutrition. The fight against biodiversity loss is among the major global challenges of our time. Whereas on land, biodiversity loss is among the major global challenge of our time. Whereas on land, there are many reasons, but in the oceans, there's one clearly outstanding. It is overfishing. 80% of fish stocks are either depleted, overfished, or recovering from being overfished. Aquaculture or fish farming offers a way out of this. And its projected growth is really impressive. By 2030, some 65% of fish produced worldwide will come from aquaculture. That means, in other words, 20% of the annual wild fish catch is turned into fish meal and fish oil, which is fed to farmed fish. Fish oil is currently the main source of vital omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. So, ladies and gentlemen, this means to grow sustainably, the aquaculture industry needs alternatives to marine resources. Evonik and DSM have found an innovative answer together. The fermentative production of an algal oil made from natural marine algae. This, in other words, our breakthrough innovation will for the first time ever provide a sustainable source of EPA and DHA, omega-3 fatty acids, on an industrial scale without relying on wild-caught fish. It took a joint effort to develop this innovation. and I'm proud to tell you why. Because we are called to find answers to global challenges. But we cannot find these answers on our own. Even the Germans cannot. The challenges are too big to address individually. An African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that is what we do. And that is what we're proud about. This is a notion of the Sustainable Development Goal 17, which seeks to strengthen global partnerships to support and to achieve the ambitious targets of the 2030 Agenda. DSM and Evonik follows the United Nations call to action. DSM has been a great partner, one who shares our vision of making the world a better place. DSM had the know-how in cultivating marine organisms, strain development, and fermentation. And Evonik brought in what we call the biotechnology and what we call the competences in large-scale implementation of biotechnological processes. So, ladies and gentlemen, in other words, it seems to be a great deal, a win-win situation. That means one for the partners, DSM and Evonik, one for you here in Nebraska, and one for our environment. So we are continuing to align, we from Evonik continuing to align our portfolio more towards specialty chemicals. Within this portfolio, we have defined 4 strategic growth engines, and one of them is animal nutrition. Veramaris is an important element, is key and core of this strategy. 4 years after the joint development agreement was signed between Evonik and DSM, we are standing here today and are celebrating the commercial realization of this breakthrough innovation. 4 years from time, 4 years from idea to innovation. That is remarkable. The success of this partnership depends, that is what I really and truly believe, on 5 key ingredients. First, our joint innovation power and the power to create. To find answers to global challenges, you need to innovate and you need to think big. Second, of course, we have a long-lasting and good relationship with Cargill, the supplier of the sugar we need to the fermentation process. Thanks a lot to you. Third, our great engineering partner Wood, which helped us to build this plant. So happy that you've done it in such a brilliant way. We delivered in time and on budget, and with 0 accidents. So the completion of this plant has been a success, right from start to finish. And fourth, the local authorities and the government of Nebraska, with whom we have developed a positive and trustful working relationship. Thanks a lot, Governor. And last but not least, there's one more important Veramaris ingredient for success. The magic word is entrepreneur. And Chris Goppelsröder and Rainer Beste were 2 entrepreneurs who were driving their vision of Veramaris through DSM and Evonik. They are the founding fathers of Veramaris. They inspired 2 teams with their passion, one in Evonik and one in DSM, who worked with an unprecedented motivation for this very project. With Karim Kumali and Frank Beismann, they found 2 managers who created a high-performance team in Veramaris, which is as passionate as the founding teams have been. A big thank to the project director Norbert Steyer, and to everyone who contributed to making this project possible and leading it to success. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for your attention, and I'm convinced from the bottom of my heart that you, here in Blair, Nebraska, are the best team which we have created and found and gotten together to make this story a brilliant success story. And it is the first birthday of our new child, Veramaris, and I'm really proud to have the chance to give some words to you, to address some words to you. And now, let us celebrate the birthday. Thanks a lot for your attention.
All right, thank you, Mr. Coleman, for your continued support and those inspirational words. So, all right, we also have now the governor has arrived from off other spots in Nebraska, fighting the floods. So I guess, Governor, are you okay speaking next? Okay, so our next guest speaker then will be Governor Pete Ricketts. Governor Ricketts has been somewhat a familiar face for folks on the project here, as he came to the site back in September of last year. Also invited the Veramaris team to the governor's mansion to celebrate the Governor's Cup. I think Paul went actually to his recent inauguration. And so also further proof, I would say, of his interest here in Veramaris is that he's taken the time both last night and then today to attend the festivities. So we thank you very much, Governor. Governor Ricketts was sworn in as the Nebraska's governor on January 8th, 2015, and has had a great record during his 2 terms of bringing in new businesses into the state of Nebraska. So we're honored to have you here again, Governor, and with that, I introduce Governor Pete Ricketts.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. And thank you all for being here today. I apologize for being a few minutes late. I was touring some of the flood damage we have in the central part of the state in Lexington and in Kearney. And I'm very happy to be here where it's a little bit drier. But that's the reason for my tardiness and for my a little bit more casual dress here. So I hope you'll forgive me for that. But I did want to be here today to help celebrate this exciting breakthrough that Veramaris promises. And I want to congratulate DSM and Firmenich for the great work here and welcome your executives to the great state of Nebraska. We're so pleased to host you here. And to all the guests who are here today to celebrate this exciting breakthrough. Because as Mr. Coleman was saying, this innovation is going to be groundbreaking. It's going to be changing the aquaculture industry. Change the way that we raise fish on farms. Because no longer will you have to go out and catch a bunch of other fish to be able to feed them. Now there is a sustainable way through this marine algae oil to produce the omega-3 fatty acids those fish need. And we're so pleased to have it right here in Nebraska. And of course, with all, false modesty aside, we think you picked the right place. We think this is the best place to do this. And of course, a lot of it has to do with our natural resources, the first of which being our people. Nebraskans are well educated. We have one of the highest high school graduation rates in the country, as well as above average number of degrees in the biosciences. We've certainly got great natural resources here as well. If you think about the 24,000 miles of rivers and streams we have in our state and the largest underwater aquifer that we have in our country, which we have managed through a series of, because we've started our own regulation of our water back in the 1970s, far in front of other states, we have managed our aquifer to stay within 1% of where it was in the 1950s. And I'm guessing after this year, it will be well above that with all the rain we've been getting in our state. And Because we manage our natural resources here, we are able to be one of the largest agricultural states in the country. We're the number 3 largest producer of corn, for example. And that, of course, is going to be the feedstock for the sugar that you all are using to feed the algae that will then produce the oil. So you've picked a great spot to be able to do this, because Nebraska is a wonderful location for agriculture, which will form the source of this renewable omega-3 fatty acid. Now, Nebraska has a lot of other great resources here as well that we think benefit this. Nebraska is becoming a hub for the biosciences. Clearly, we start with a great foundation with the University of Nebraska system and the University of Nebraska Medical Center, as well as all of our other universities and institutions of higher education we have here in the state, that helps produce those life science degrees and all those well-educated people. Nebraska, in fact, has about 200 patents in the biosciences every year to be able to create that foundation. And at the state, we want to continue to support that as well. That's why in 2017, I signed the Bioscience Innovation Act, which is a one-for-one matching grant program for those high-growth startup companies in the biosciences. And in fact, in 2018, we distributed about $1.65 million in matching grants to be able to help those biotech companies. And we've got over 1,000 bioscience companies creating 16,000 jobs in our state already as a foundation. And in 2017, we saw $500 million worth of bioscience investments in our state, much of it right here in Blair. So we are becoming that bioscience hub. And of course, with all that investment here in our state, we want to see this continue to grow. We see innovative companies, such as I was talking last night about Prairie Catalytic in Columbus, which is creating ethyl acetate, which ethyl acetate, many of the ladies know that's what you use to remove your fingernail polish. It also helps decaffeinate coffee. I'm not sure how those two things work together, but that's what that does. And so we've got innovative companies there that are creating renewable biosciences like that, a biochemical factory, if you will, that helps replace the petroleum-based ethyl acetate that we use today. You look at other innovations in our state. Facebook has created their 6th U.S. data center, 9th worldwide data center here in Nebraska, because Omaha Public Power District could promise them 100% renewable energy. And not to be left behind, Nebraska Public Power District is working with Monolith Materials on an innovative way to crack carbon black from natural gas that creates the carbon black that you use in your tires and your cases for your cell phones, but will also help Nebraska Public Power to create the first utility-scale hydrogen-burning plant in the country. And that plant will have as its emissions water vapor, because that's what you get when you burn hydrogen. You get the energy and you get water vapor. So you can see that Nebraska is on the forefront of creating innovative solutions to the world's problems and helping make our planet more sustainable, whether it's how we manage our aquifer or the innovative companies that invest in our state, especially in the biosciences area. And on top of that, Nebraska has a great environment for all companies to invest in. The Mercatus Center at George Mason University says we are the #1 most fiscally stable state in the country. We are ranked #2 for low cost of doing business by CNBC. Forbes says we have the 2nd best state for regulatory environment. We have the 3rd highest wage growth of any state in the country since 2014. We're ranked as the 4th best place to find a job, and Forbes says we're the 5th best place for business in general. And this week, we are going around recognizing companies, such as we did with Veramaris last year, because we have won the Governor's Cup for the most economic development projects per capita of any state in the country now for 3 years in a row. Thank you, Michael. And in fact, for 3 years in a row, we have had more economic development projects, like the ones we're talking about here, than North Dakota, South Dakota, and Kansas combined And if we just had 4 more projects, we could have added Minnesota to that list. You could have put all 4 of those states together, and we had more than them. We've got more economic development projects than much larger states like New Jersey or Massachusetts or South Carolina or Oklahoma or Louisiana. So Nebraska is a place for companies to invest and be successful. And that's why we're so pleased to be here today to help celebrate the grand opening of this new facility that really brings together all of this, brings together the great environment we have here in Nebraska, brings together the bioscience hub that we're creating, brings together the great workforce that we have to offer, and brings together great companies like dsm-firmenich, and now, of course, the new Veramaris. So congratulations to all the folks who are involved in creating this great innovative company that will, again, help make our planet more sustainable, address the needs, and change aquaculture in our world. It is an exciting day for Veramaris, it's an exciting day for DSM and firmenich, but it's a really exciting day for Nebraska to be a part of this great innovation and continue to make sure that we have a place where Nebraska families can find that great career, to be able to send their kids to school, go on that family vacation, and enjoy the good life in our state. Because indeed, when companies like Veramaris are created here and create those jobs, that's what it leads to. That's what economic development means, creating jobs for Nebraska families. So again, thank you all very much for your contribution to our great state. We look forward to being great partners with you as you continue to innovate and change the world. God bless you all, and God bless the great state of Nebraska.
All right, thank you, Governor Ricketts. As I think you know, I moved here with my family last year, but definitely we have really enjoyed being in the great state of Nebraska. Hope to for years to come. So, all right, great. The next item is the Lingalax video. So Lingalax is one of the largest salmon farmers here in Norway and a customer now of Veramaris. And we are excited about working with Lingalax because they share, as you'll see in this video, a lot of the same sustainability goals that Veramaris does.
The great news about our Veramaris algal oil is actually we have both molecules, EPA and DHA. So not only do we satisfy the health of salmon, but we also ensure that the food is healthy and nutritious and ideal for consumers. Our Veramaris algal oil enables retailers to promote salmon sustainably and to promote a very healthy and nutritious salmon to their consumers.
Alger i fôr bruker vi for at dyrehelse og miljø er veldig viktig for oss. Åpen og ærlighet, kvalitet og være fremtidsrettet og kunne produsere bærekraftig er veldig viktig for oss.
For us, this is the result of 20 years of innovation, finding a good sustainable source to the omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. That has been the biggest bottleneck for us, but now we have the solution.
Retailers are the key change agents. In fact, they're fundamental. They've understood that consumers want to know where their food is produced, how it's produced, and the nutritional content. And they're the first ones who've understood that consumers want a sustainably sourced salmon, which is highly nutritious and good for them.
All right, great. So you saw in that video one of our movie stars here, Kareem, which you'll get to hear some more from later on. But yeah, all right, good. So now back to the speakers. So the next speaker I'm pleased to introduce is Mr. Christoph Goppelschroeder. Christoph is president and CEO of the Nutritional Products Business Group within DSM. and I know from personal experience, very interested in this project. So with that, I will turn it over to Chris.
Governor Ricketts, colleagues from Evonik and from DSM, partners from Blair, it's a great pleasure to be here again. Again after a fantastic and memorable roof-raising event last year. Feike and Christian, and also the governor, spoke about purpose, uniqueness, and partnership, and why this joint venture is special. So for those that know me, I want to focus on something different. I would like to now zero in on the specific question that many of you have been sharing with me and others in the room on the way. And the question is, so what does it actually take to develop and execute sustainability-driven, transformational innovation such as Veramaris? What does it take? In a nutshell, I believe it takes three things. First, it takes a big dream. Second, it takes lots of guts. Third, and that's where we are in, it takes continuous creativity and discipline in execution. All of this is needed, and as partners, to fulfill the dream. Let me explain a little bit more in detail what I mean with guts and with dream and with discipline, and use the opportunity to say thank you to a few folks in the room, either individuals or groups of people who have done a great job in making us getting to this place where we are today. With Green Ocean, that was the original project name, we started a very big dream. A dream that we can change salmon farming into something that is sustainable, into a place where fish oil gets replaced by algal oil. But not only that, we had the dream that together we could do it even better and faster, together as DSM and Evonik. And for those that were here last time, I showed my fantastic math skills, for those that remember, where I equaled 1 + 1 = 3. Now, not a lot of people employed me after that, but it symbolizes a lot about the synergies between two companies. It is here, at that point, I would like to say thank you to a man that is not in the room, a man called Rainer Beste, without whom we would not be here. So let me particularly say a big thanks to whoever is in Asia, and I think it's worthy of an applause. Now, soon after the dream, the reality checked into this project, and guts were needed. So the first one was the finance team asking the obvious question: who should have majority in this joint venture? And how do we measure the respective value that we each bring to this joint venture? Simple questions, right? We all knew we could never solve the shareholding dilemma of 51-49. I mean, just imagine I go home to Heerlen with a minority stake in hand. What would that mean? This would be a total no-go. Now, I knew that Rainer had the same problem. He could not go to Essen with a minority stake. So we had to solve the problem. And equally, at this early stage of the game, let me be frank, we had no clue. We had no clue how we would actually value the dowry, if I can say it like that, we each bring into this marriage. We didn't know. So we had to jump without knowing where the other side of the river was. This is what I call guts. Now, in hindsight, it all looks simple, right? We are sitting here and we have solved both challenges, as you know. The only thing that remains is there were a few people that took those jumps. where they didn't see through the fog the other side of the river. Let me mention 6 people that have played a big role in this. First of all, Emanuel Auer over here. Walter Pfefferle, he's not here today, but he certainly was one that was jumping. And Hartwig Pohlmann. All 3 of Evonik were basically in mid-air at some point in time. But they were not alone. Andre Boss, who is sitting here, Mandy Roers, who is not here, and now a little bit of a sad case, Krijn Rietveld, who died in January 2018, and whom we strongly miss. Also he jumped together. The 6 jumped high, and as you know, they landed. But when they jumped, they did not know. Now, the biggest challenge came from the marketing teams. Now, what did they say? They said, how should we convince our customers to switch from fish oil to algal oil at roughly twice the price? Small issue, right? As a marketeer, no problem. Or what is the true value of sustainability in this particular value chain? A daunting task opened up in front of our eyes. One that B2B companies like DSM and Evonik don't have in front of them every day, I can assure you. We needed to convince consumers, retailers, to actually request, or better say, pull our product, and not do what we normally do, which is to go to our customers and push the product. By the way, these customers would never have pushed it in the first place, because sustainability is still not a smooth business. So there were a few people that certainly covered that domain more than anybody else. One was Christoph Kobler, and the other one was David Nickel from Evonik and DSM. I think that's worth an applause. But we still had the execution of the project in front of us, a phase of the project that I think demands and continues to demand endless creativity on the one hand side and endless discipline. It is here that the Veramaris top team with Karim, Frank, and Neil played a huge role. They put together a fantastic team, a team that has great experience from all over the world, a team that engages across the full value chain, and a team that certainly didn't say and accept a no from anybody. A team that also delivered some first orders of customers, not totally unimportant when you open in a grand opening way. It would be a bit of shame if the main thing that we could look at is the warehouse full of product. So let me thank these 3 gentlemen for having taken up a job that now sounds like a dream job, but when they said yes, it was not clear how dreamy this would have been. So thank you very much for jumping also in a big way. Now, as we speak today, R&D normally is over, but it's not over. R&D is always there. In fermentation, you are never finished. That's the great thing. Now, we have certainly 2 gentlemen here in the room that play with their teams an enormous game in this. One is Robert Gerstmeier, and the other one is Dietmar Laudert. This is the only team, by the way, with 2 Germans together. Quite amazing that we can do that between Evonik and DSM. And it worked well, even between 2 Germans. So they have a little daunting task because, as we say, we are pleased where we are, but we have big views how it can be better, bigger, cheaper. So let me say thank you to Robert and Dietmar for their continuing success on this site. Thank you. Now, the next one I want to mention had already so many accolades. I don't know if he really needs it anymore, and that is Norbert Steyer, who showed great courage, and he finished within time and budget and with nearly no accidents. But I can tell you he has a secret. Norbert Steyer has a secret because he knows that when you want to stay in budget and in time, there are two factors that come into play. One is obviously how good you are when you execute, but the other one is also how good you plan your budget. So if you're smart, you put a budget together that is reachable, and he did so, and he did it in a hugely good way. Norbert, I am as much amazed about the execution as I'm amazed about your foresight, what the budget should be. I cannot mention everyone by name, but I think everybody in this room has played a major role or will continue to play a major role in something that is truly revolutionizing the aquaculture industry. And I think consumers and industry are ready for it as never before. I make a little forecast. I'm not good at forecasting. But the likelihood that this will make big headlines, much more than so far, from all sorts of players, especially also NGOs. We are just seeing the first grasp of that. And then we can say, we are already busy with it. So it is said that usually dreams come in rarely. This morning when I got up, I knew I was in one that came true. Not fully, if you know me, I'm never satisfied, but the first step, and Karim knows what I'm talking about. Because today we really celebrate turning a dream into a reality. A reality that is a fantastic achievement after only 2.5 years, because we sometimes think it's a long time. But when you think about what we all accomplished, to come back to Christian's point about fast and far, I think we actually did a bit of both. If I can boast a little bit and do some other phony math with you, I think we did both. So let me say thank to you as a dream team for making a dream become reality for all of us. I'm personally very touched. I'm personally very touched also with my colleague and friend Rainer, that what started so long ago, in end of 14, beginning of 15, is now a reality. Thank you all. It was a great achievement.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you also for your passion and support of the project. I know that goes a long way. All right. Our next guest speaker is Casper Gamelin. So Mr. Gamelin is the chairman of the board of management for Evonik's Nutrition and Care business segment. I know from talking with Casper last night, I learned that he is definitely someone that isn't afraid to try something new and challenging, and has been involved in a number of roles here in Evonik. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Casper Gamelin.
Dear Governor Ricketts, thank you very much that you make it, even in that difficult times that you were facing here in Nebraska with the flood. Dear Feike Besma, dear Chris, dear members of the Evonik Executive Board, happy to have you here, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, in my script stand, I'm very proud to be here. After these exciting speeches, I'm more than delighted to be part of this exciting team, to be here in the first birthday of Veramaris. Proud to join the team and to celebrate, to thank all of you for your contribution, the fantastic moments that you would bring to Veramaris, for DSM, and for Evonik. Yes, I'd like to come back a little bit on the earth after all these visionary things, explaining as well what we want to do and what was our contribution, beside Veramaris, and what we have in mind when we're talking about a common vision how to come to a better world within the DSM and Evonik. From a fish in, fish out perspective, aquaculture, as we learned today, was a significant net consumer of forage fish protein.
In 2014, fish meal content in a typical salmon diet already dropped from 40 to 15%. That was possible due to low protein diets with amino acid supplementation. Amino acids from Evonik have helped already producers like Skretting, who are here with us today, in the development of innovative salmon diets. Today, salmon diets have a well-balanced amino acid profile which fits to the nutritional needs of a salmon. But that was only halfway, 50% of the story. The other 50% is now, and you know the answer, the algae oil from Veramaris. Today, we are able that modern salmon diets use zero fish meal and zero fish oil. From the perspective of the oceans and the marine life, this is the most sustainable solution. The development of modern salmon diets is a perfect example. We see the role of Veramaris and Evonik and DSM. We are a key enabler for innovation for our customers and for the players further down the value chain. Veramaris enables the aquaculture industry to become less dependent on finite marine resources and to continue to grow within planetary boundaries. And that is a wonderful story. You get it, and I feel the excitement from you. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Veramaris algae oil does not only complement Evonik's portfolio of key ingredients very nicely, but it has become a major pillar in our growth innovation strategy for animal nutrition. Our Evonik animal nutrition business continues to renew itself, developing towards a more holistic solution provider for healthy animal nutrition and sustainable animal farming. With even vigor and purpose, we are working to extend our portfolio for animal nutrition, not only with additional innovative and sustainable solutions in feed additives, but also with digital software concepts for improving farm management, all of them scientifically proven to make a significant difference. And this is what we have tried to grasp in our slogan, Sciencing the Global Food Challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, as our CEO, Mr. Christian Coleman, already mentioned, you need innovation power to find answers to the toughest global challenges. Innovative thinking is needed for finding new solutions, but not only in this respect. And essential for Veramaris is as well its innovative marketing concept, Chris already mentioned as well. From the beginning, the joint venture team initiated and orchestrated a consistent stakeholder dialogue along the entire value chain. We talked with end customers, demand for tasty, nutritious, and yes, sustainable farmed seafood in mind. They spoke with feed producers, farmers, processors, retailers, policymakers, and NGOs. And they convinced players along the whole value chain that salmon feed with our marine algae oil would not only be a chance for differentiation in a highly competitive environment, but also an answer to mindful consumer preferences for healthy and sustainable food. Key component of successful marketing is a strong brand, as you can see. Ideally, a brand is in tune with the story and transmits a message clearly and easily in the shortest possible way. And it is not just me that thinks Veramaris has done an excellent job on this. Veramaris just has honored with the German Brand Award 2019 in the category Sustainable Brand of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, you might now understand what makes us such happy and proud parents standing here today. My sincerest congratulations and respects for this extraordinary achievement go to all the people who were involved. Many thanks to the Nebraska authorities, headed by the Governor Ricketts, for all your support during the products. Thanks to the entire executive boards of our parents' company, DSM and Evonik. Falk and Christian, your trust is our motivation to deliver. Thanks to the Blair side, not only for hosting, but really supporting our project. A big applause to the whole team for their great work and personal contribution. Many thanks as well to Nebraska's farmers who stand as the cradle of our product. And let's all celebrate this wonderful occasion together. Believing as European companies in free trade, we are very convinced that we, from the middle of the Nebraska, can reach the oceans and serve them for a better way. We are more than convinced that we all together will help to become the world a little bit better. In this sense, good luck for the future of Veramaris. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hand over to Karim Kumari, the CEO of Veramaris. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Welcome, Governor Pete Ricketts. Feike, Christian, thank you very much and welcome. I appreciate the time that you've put in over the past 2 days. On behalf of Frank, Neil, and the Veramaris team, welcome to you all. Today, I am humbled, but also emotional. Green Ocean project team, and you heard the names, have put so much effort over the past 2 years to make Veramaris real. They've made it happen. And now, the Veramaris team have to make it happen. But before I go down that journey, I want to share a few points about myself. I was brought up in Mombasa, Kenya, and I spent my childhood by the Indian Ocean, playing in rock pools with a snorkel and mask. And I could never have imagined, and neither could artificial intelligence or even Big Blue, that I'd be here today, standing in front of you, 1,000 kilometers from the sea, talking about aquaculture. So some things machine learning just can't do. But here I am, and I'm really humbled, because Norbert, Neil, Dietmar, Robert, and the rest of you have actually created a Veramaris fermentation facility that is going to be impactful and possibly change the world. And possibly change not only pet food, but aquaculture feed as we know it today. But it's not been that easy. I've had my ups and downs. And I want to tell you something about them, because there's a message about purpose in it. But before I go there, I want to say thank you to someone else. They're not here. Most likely they've passed away. But it's those NASA space scientists that actually were the original discoverers and looked into investigating the power of algae and did the early stage fermentation of the algae that we're actually using in our library. So I salute you, NASA space scientists, for being persistent and being perseverant. And it's amazing that here we are back in the US with technology which was actually originated from this country. So, things went well during my journey in Veramaris. As Chris was saying, both Frank and myself, we learned how to jump, but we didn't know how high we had to jump. We didn't even know whether we would land. And things were going well when Christoph Kobler and Mandy Reus passed over the project to Frank and myself. They were early days, they were honeymoon periods. and we thought we could cope. But then, middle of last year, the value chain marketing wasn't happening. We were unable to convince our customers and the value chain. There was no traction. And then we were beginning to doubt ourselves. I went into one of the deepest wells. But fortunately, I was able to visit Barcelona, and I went to a seafood summit in Barcelona. And I met a lady called Kun Patima. She's a Thai lady, a lawyer. She's only 5 foot. And she made a presentation about forced labor and slaves on fishing vessels. And she herself, with her team, had saved 3,000 slaves on fishing vessels in the South China Seas. And 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago, I should say, the number crept up to 5,000. So she and her team had saved 5,000 slaves on fishing vessels. Talking to NGOs, they reckon a number they can feel comfortable with is that there is 35,000 human beings enslaved on fishing vessels. So I had my problems about the lack of traction of the value chain. Our value chain marketing was not working. But when I heard about this, I realized actually there was a lot more that we were doing than just commercializing algal oil. And she told me one story about a fisherman, or a slave, I would say, who was kidnapped at the age of 17, and he was Thai. Kidnapped at the age of 17. She released him at the age of 34. And at the age of 34, he had 4 fingers on his right hand. Each time he had tried to escape and was recaptured, the captain of the fishing vessel cut off one of his fingers. When she released him, he had 4 fingers on the right hand. 6 had gone. The amazing part of the story is when he was released, he actually thanked the captain of the fishing vessel for not cutting the fingers of his right hand. Because had the fishing captain done that, this particular slave would not have been able to eat with the rest of the crew. Because on the fishing vessel, the left hand is the dirty hand. So he was able to eat with the rest of the crew because he had 4 fingers on the right hand. And when I heard this story, I realized actually Veramaris is not only about commercializing algal oil. We're here to change the industry. We're here to challenge the practice of the fishing industry. And if you want to know, there's about 4.6 million fishing vessels out and about. And today, some NGOs are just discovering the amount of slave labor off the northwest coast of Africa, Namibia, and South Africa. So when I realized this, my problems about the value chain kind of faded. And I realized actually we have to do a lot more. So when I went back to Delft, Frank and myself put a lot more energy in building our team. To make value chain happen, we realized we required competencies across the value chain. We required capabilities and talents to execute this paradigm shift. And today I would say thank you for all those in the business development management team who've joined Veramaris. And hence, we have now had success. We have had retailers and engagement with farmers, feed millers, and retailers, and including NGOs. And in fact, We have moved from boutique to mainstream. One of Frank's friends was up in the north of Norway talking to a farmer you'd never believe, and yet the farmer had heard about Veramaris. And thanks you to the communications team, because you've made that happen. So, finally, we are here. We have a solution. And to my team, there is no going back. We are here, and we have a solution, and a responsibility and a duty to provide healthy fish, healthy food, and healthy oceans. Thank you.
This salmon is unique because it's grown in the crystal clear waters of Norway in a special fjord called Hardanger Fjord. And it's been grown and nurtured by a company called Lingalax, who've been in the salmon business for ages. And in particular, this salmon is rich in both omega-3 fatty acids, and that is EPA and DHA fatty acids. Within Veramaris, we very quickly realized it would take partners to make this happen. So Veramaris collaborated with the value chain. We collaborated with the farmer Lingalax, we collaborated with the feed millers and the processors, including Match, the retailer, to make it happen. Aligning on a common vision, we were able to work together, collaborate, and bring to the French consumer a tasty, healthy, and sustainable salmon.
Chez Supermarché Match, cette année, grande nouveauté, nous avons décidé de proposer à nos clients un saumon élevé de façon respectueuse pour l'environnement et aussi du bien-être animal. Supermarché Match est soucieux du bien manger de ses clients et souhaite, à son échelle, contribuer à la préservation des ressources marines. La tendance des consommateurs s'oriente de plus en plus vers des produits plus sains et respectueux de l'environnement. L'alimentation des poissons contient des extraits d'algues riches en oméga 3. C'est important pour la santé du poisson et celle du consommateur.
And we all know omega-3, EPA, and DHA fatty acids are important both for the fish and the consumer. It's particularly important for fish growth and fish welfare. And for the consumer, omega-3, EPA, DHA fatty acids play a vital role in proper brain development, heart development, and eye development. And it's ideally suited also for the entire family, including young ones. But we use natural marine algae to produce omega-3, EPA, and DHA fatty acids, because actually natural marine algae in the world's oceans is the original source of omega-3. It's not fish oil, it's actually natural marine algae produced by phytoplankton. What happens is the following, is phytoplankton is consumed by zooplankton, which is consumed by smaller fish like sardines, which is then consumed by salmon. What we're doing is producing it from natural marine algae and short-circuiting the food chain and feeding it directly to salmon. So it enables the continued sustainable growth of aquaculture. It enables aquaculture to be less dependent upon marine resources. And it enables us to feed the world's population within planetary boundaries. We have to reconcile economic growth, growing population, and the need to conserve natural marine resources. We at Veramaris are proud because we are doing our bit and are bringing to the industry a breakthrough innovative technology which enables the aquaculture industry to grow continuously and, more importantly, sustainably.
Yeah, so very powerful video. Wow. All right. So with that, now it is lunchtime. So what you guys have been waiting for here. Before we jump into that, though, I want to really quickly recognize a couple of people. So One or two of them is Jenna Erb and Marcy Calloway. You guys stand up, raise your hands. So for folks that are not here, you might not realize, but these two have been working tirelessly for months on this, putting this together, the program, everything here, everything back at the site. So thank you, Jenna and Marcy. Also, Yulia and Jürgen. Are they? Yeah. Right. They too have worked tirelessly on this, and I think, like you saw here, something to be proud of this day and this occasion. Okay, so we will now move to lunch. One of the highlights, too, of lunch is that you can enjoy salmon from Leroy, which was actually fed with our Veramaris oil. So you can taste it firsthand, see what you think. And then also today allows me to get a little bit of revenge, too. So during our quarterly Veramaris meetings, it never fails that I'm eating lunch and enjoying a nice lunch, and Frank, our CFO, is hurrying me off back into the meeting room. So today I get to flip the tables because we have a very tight timeline, and we all have to leave here at 1 p.m. sharp. So make sure Frank goes last, and then I will, when he gets about a few bites, we'll shoo him out the door. So, all right. But with that, please enjoy. Thank you.